4.5 number 6, asking us to graph something again, and so I would start with finding the amplitude. And there's nothing in front of the sign, so that's an imaginary 1 sitting there, so it's 1 for the amplitude. Again, we are not shifting it up or down because we're not adding anything at the end, so 0. Then when I do the b value, what's in front of x is pi over 2. And so the period of the function would be 2 pi divided by pi over 2, which is 2 pi times, then you flip it, and the pi's would go away, and you have 4. And then your critical points are the period 4 divided by 4 equal parts. And so you're going to space this every 1. There's nothing being added or subtracted inside the parentheses, so phase shift. There is no phase shift. So we are ready to graph it. Because there's no phase shift, my first critical point will be 0. And then we will just continue to add 1. So I can add 1, I can add 2, 3, 4. That's 1 period of the function. And you can go backwards easily, -1, -2, and so on. The amplitude is up 1 and down to -1. And so we're ready to graph. Oh, well, the midline, right, is right on the x-axis. So remember, you're doing a sine curve. So sine will start at the midline on the first critical value. So remember, the phase shift told me to start at 0. So that's where my first one is, at the midline. The next one will be a maximum, and then back to a midline. Minimum, back to a midline. So the sine curve would look something like this. And so you can easily go backwards. Like I said, you could go down to a minimum and back to the midline. But I really only need the first period of this function. So remember, it's hitting the midline at 2. So that's not 2. That's not 2. That's not 2. And there it is. So that would be the graph I would choose.